All right, thank you so much. And good morning to everybody from the United States. My name is Lauren Collister, and I am the Director of Scholarly Communication at the University Library System at the University of Pittsburgh. And I'm also a member of the Linguistics Data Interest Group at the Research Data Alliance and a co-editor on a special collection of Journal of Open Humanities data. I wanted to just spend a few minutes today to share with you some of the linguistics work that has been going on at the RDA that contextualizes and forms a natural connection between the RDA and the Journal of Open Humanities data that led to this special collection. So I'm going to put the link to the Linguistics Data Interest Group in the chat for you all to have a look at. Go ahead to the next slide, please, Barbara. I've added a quote on the slide. You can read it for yourself from our charter about the Linguistics Data Interest Group. And as I mentioned, I've been a member of this group and I have been since its inception, and I've worked on all of its projects so far. But basically, the Linguistics Data Interest Group, or LDIG, as we call ourselves for short, deals with all kinds of language data. We have a very open definition of data, as Barbara was talking to you about before. So in addition to experimental or quantitative data, linguistics data can include many formats and types like videos, sound recordings, transcriptions, lexicons, databases, just any kind of data format imaginable you could probably find somewhere in linguistics data. And because of the many kinds of linguistics data, linguists and those who use language data have historically very widely varying practices in regards to data sharing and data citation. And these being two very basic fundamentals of data use in a discipline, we as the LDIG sought to develop discipline-specific data citation and attribution conventions, and to give our field a sort of guidepost or best practices for data use, data citation, and data sharing that we could use as a field to sort of unify our practices. Go ahead to the next slide. This work started even before the LDIG existed, and it's really started with a bunch of publications in the field of linguistics that culminated in this Austin Principles of Data Citation in Linguistics. So this document is a set of principles that are based on the Joint Declaration of Data Citation Principles, and that joint declaration was adapted by the team that would eventually be the LDIG, specifically for the discipline of linguistics. And I've got the links here, and it has been linked as an RDA unofficial output on our page. There's a public site. We have a number of signatories, organizations, and individuals. If you haven't signed on, you can definitely go ahead and sign there, as well as educational and outreach materials and past presentations about the Austin Principles. We would like to invite you, if you're a linguist and you haven't seen these, to have a look at these principles of data citation and linguistics. And if you are outside of the discipline of linguistics, this is an example of how something like these Joint Declaration of Data Citation Principles can be adapted and to be applied in a disciplinary environment. We added extra information to help linguists and those from our discipline interpret and understand the applications of these principles that are particular to our field. So this is a great example of how to reuse these data citation principles and in order to make them applicable and understandable to a field. Go ahead to the next slide. Our first official supporting output for the Linguistics Data Interest Group for the RDA was this document. It's the Tromsø recommendations for citation of research data in linguistics. And I see some collaborators on this document in this meeting. So hello, everybody. Both authors and those who contributed comments and helped us refine this. So you can view the document at the DOI here. I'll also place the link in the chat when I'm done talking. These recommendations were drafted over about a year, I'd have to say, of hard work and consultations with linguists from all around the world, as well as other members of the RDA. As I mentioned, several of you here either contributed to authorship or added comments for these documents, so thank you for that. This document is really a valuable reference for the field. It contains both the discussions of different kinds of data and how they might get cited, whether you're citing an entire collection of items or just one tiny snippet of a sound file. How do you do that when you're citing data, when you're writing about it or presenting about it? It contains templates for data citation, both in text and in the bibliography. And there's also sample citations for all kinds of different actually existing data sets. So if you're interested in the variety of linguistics data and how they can be cited, or even if you're interested in learning more about the particular difficulties or obstacles that folks may have with citing language data, I invite you to check out these recommendations. They're a great teaching tool for use in classes. If you are writing a paper and wondering how to cite your data, we've got some recommendations in here that will apply to you. And if you're an editor or contributor to a journal or book, using these recommendations can help with your style sheet when you're advising people how to cite data in their contributions. So all of this work by the LDIG provides some foundational information and best practices that can support the future of linguistics data work to make it more findable, more reusable, more replicable, more reproducible. And this work supports the projects like the one that I'd like to invite my colleagues and co-editors, Richard Griscom and Hugh Patterson, to share with you next. So let's go on to the next section and I'll turn it over to these, Richard and Hugh.